Hi, I'm making book reviews to keep up with my reading and actually remembering what I've read. Today I'm going to be reviewing Morgan Housel's Psychology of Money. After I bought the Kindle, I decided to start reading non-fiction books again. It's been a while, but with the Kindle it's easier to underline what you want to remember from the book, and it kind of feels like the Kindle is made for reading non-fiction books in many ways. It's a little bit strange that I haven't been reading more non-fiction books because I like the learning process and learning new things, and with this book I was intrigued. If you want to start reading books again, I got the tip that you should read both non-fiction and fiction because it's easier to remember the plot in the fiction book whilst reading the non-fiction book, so it's easy to read those two at the same time. It might be more difficult to read two non-fiction books at the same time. So I had to find a topic, and I chose this book because psychology and money combined are two very interesting things. In my experience, people tend to have very different views on what money is and how to use money. And it's also a very delicate topic, so there's many people that don't want to talk about money, and also many people who find it difficult to talk about money and handling money. Why this book? It got recommended to me by numerous sites and had a very good rating at Goodreads, and I can already say I did not regret reading this book. So, a small summary of the book. It's full of small stories about how people have handled money and how different people have handled money, and it goes through some stock crisis and also how people that didn't make it out of the crisis or did make it out of the crisis handled their money and their thoughts in this process. The book discusses both rich people who can't handle their money and poor people who can handle their money and succeeded in saving up. So the book brings up a lot of themes like saving, stock market, crisis, compounding interests, and how many different archetypes spend their money or do not spend their money. I think maybe the most interesting part about the book is the ending, because the author actually goes through his own mind and discusses how he has spent his money so far in life and how he and his wife thinks about investing and saving. Without spoiling anything, it's actually quite funny to read how he spends his money when you have read all the other chapters before. I thought I'd share some of my favorite quotes from the book to give you a little insight in what the book is about. So the first one: an iron rule of finance is that money chases returns to the greatest extent that it can. Meaning, if you put your money in the stock market, the stock will chase money as far as it can. And then my second favorite quote is kind of related. Hold stocks for the long run, you'll hear. It's good advice. But do you know how hard it is to maintain a long-term outlook when stocks are collapsing? Those two combined, I think, are great quotes from the book. And of course he explains a lot of things around these quotes. To conclude, who is this book for? Well, I'd say it's for everyone because it's quite easily read, and it touches on the theme of money in a quite simple way. It talks about easy concepts and never gets too far. It's never very complex, and I think the history aspect of the book is quite amusing. You get short stories about people, and it's very easy to conceptualize. I think it's also very interesting for people who like this theme. Many great stories and many great facts and some interesting charts. But of course, the most interesting thing about the book is actually thinking about how you think when you think of money. And of course, it made me reflect on how I spend and save money. It was quite difficult to conceal, but I really love this book, and I'm very happy that this was the book I chose for my non-fiction book reading last week. I'd love to get more recommendations on these types of books if you have recommendations. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.